What's going on, YouTube? Back at it with another video. Look, we got the most disturbed family in America. Meet the Galvin family. I ain't gonna lie, the Galvin family, that sound like they're some vampires or something. They eat you. The Galvins. We are the Galvins. We are the Galvins. Looking ass nigga. Like they grew up to be TV show commentators. The Galvins. Head ass. Yeah, man, before we get into this video, man, I need y'all to like, comment, subscribe, turn in post notifications on, and let's do it. Let's do it. Oh my granny.
Was this the most disturbed family in America?
Didn't look that bad.
This is the story of the Galvin family. The Galvin family was what you would expect any middle-class family to be like during the mid-20th century in Colorado Springs. At the start of their marriage in
Definitely kept him at like a steak and burger shack. She drinking a milkshake, looking real pretty. You go up to talk to her, he come out of nowhere on that straight you are N-word stuff. You know what I'm saying? You get your hands off my lady. But who do you think you are? Do you know who I am? I'm a Galvin. And this is my woman. You can take your narrow-eyed, nappy-headed self out of here. But he say that other word too. Yeah, man, that look like he gonna say that quick, and then she gonna be like, she really like you the whole time, and in the dark she give you some play, and as soon as anybody find out about that one time she gave you that play, you dead. You gonna die. You raped her. On me, you did.
1944, Donald and Mimi, the patriarch and matriarch of the family, didn't seem so different from many other wartime couples, with her already pregnant with their first child as he prepared to ship out to the Pacific. Back home after the war, he seemed moodier and more brooding than before. Signs that, combined with several hospitalizations over the years for attacks of nerves, suggest that the brutal, high-casualty battles he'd fought had left him with what today would be called PTSD. Nonetheless, military life appealed to Donald, so he signed up for a career in the newly formed Air Force. Whether it was his Catholic faith or the couple's determination to fill their lives with children, one baby after another followed 10 sons in a row before the arrival of two daughters.
Richard, Joseph, Mark,
the Galvin
Matthew,
family siblings
Peter,
are Donald
and
Jr.,
Margaret.
James, John, Brian, Michael, Richard, Joseph, Mark, Matthew, Peter, Margaret, and Mary, who changed her name to Lindsay later in life. Mimi had longed for a sophisticated and intellectual life in the heart of New York City.
Bruh. I like this one girl, no nigga, Lakin Leggett. She a little model on Instagram. Hold on, I'm finna send that to her. What the hell it look like her? That's crazy. Bro, why I'm on the video right now? Why this look like you? That look like you. Lakin like a motherfucker. Nigga, you the Galvins. Oh God.
City, but her husband's career took them to Colorado Springs. So she sublimated her dreams into painstakingly creating and molding a perfect family that was initially envied by the community. Donald Galvin taught at the Air Force Academy, and his wife, Mimi Galvin, was a stay-at-home mom. The family was heavily involved in the Colorado Springs community and attended church every Sunday. In 1963, when they moved into a newly built split-level suburban home just outside Colorado Springs, they presented themselves to the world as a slightly expanded version of a 1950s domestic TV comedy, centering on a bevy of bright, well-behaved kids. If anything made the family stick out, other than its size, it was the family passion for falconry, domesticating and training feral birds for hunting. A hands-off father, even when he wasn't out of town, Donald called his kids not by their names, but by their number in the family birth order. Rather than punish or even just keep an eye on his rowdy sons as they habitually battered, wrestled, and injured one another, he bought them all boxing gloves. Father, but she was just as oblivious to the extreme roughhousing, taunting, and bullying that neither parent seemed to worry about. Soon, though, the Galvin family would face an extraordinary challenge with 6 out of their 12 children diagnosed with schizophrenia. One tried to murder his wife.
6? That's crazy. Yeah, I got 7. I got 6 brothers, and 2 of my brothers got schizophrenia, and that shit ain't no game to deal with. Oh my God, them niggas just. And then yeah, boy, them niggas is crazy. That's all I can say. Them motherfuckers is crazy. They need to be like secluded, but they need people at the same time. Like, you got to be there for them, but then you got to give them their space, because if you give them too much space, they get to tripping. But then you got to be there for them, because if you don't be there for them, they get to tripping, because they feel like they ain't loved, but they really loved, and they be like, I'm too loved, and then it's just weird, and they selfish than a motherfucker, and they don't realize it. They be selfish as hell. Definitely in relationships, it'd be if you got somebody got schizophrenia and you dating them, oh my god, bro, you better have some patience. You better have like the ultimate patience of all patience, and be able to be there and maintain yourself when they going through them breakouts. You know what I'm saying? Like them random trip sessions. They just mad for nothing and they crying for nothing. Them niggas cry a lot. You be like, what? And you be there for them, and then they'll turn on your ass quick. Like, oh, woo wee. You just gotta be patient with their ass, boy.
By forcing her to inhale cyanide fumes. One shot his girlfriend dead, then turned the gun on himself and ended his own life. One molested his younger brother and sisters. One set fires and viciously attacked police officers, as well as patients and staff members in a mental hospital. It began with their oldest son, Donald Jr. He was the perfect son in his parents' eyes. He could do no wrong. He was a football star in high school and a wrestling star. He dated the general's daughter at the Air Force Academy. He seemed to have it all together, but he had known even in his teen years that something was off. He had a barrier between himself and other people. It got worse once he went off to college. While away at Colorado State University, Don Jr. began to exhibit disturbing behavior. First, he jumped straight into a bonfire. Then he slowly strangled a cat. Don Jr., a good athlete and average student, who was no trouble at all.
Whoa, wait a minute. Let me clear that up about my brothers. They ain't go that fucking far. Niggas wasn't doing... Okay, I think it's levels of schizophrenia. I think it's levels. These motherfuckers right here, the Galvins, they up here. My brothers, they like right here then. You know, they just crazy emotional wise. They don't know how to control their emotions, and with their women, they not too all the way there. But killing cats and dogs and strangling them, no, cause one of my brothers is schizophrenic. That nigga love animals. He's spiritual. He like a hippie kinda, but he really just talented. But that nigga brain, woo.
To his parents, they ignored the severe beatings he imposed on his younger brothers while growing up. Had his first psychotic break before his last sibling was born. His illness became worse at college, and he was soon back in the parental home, separated from his wife. There was the time when Don Jr., without explanation, stood at the sink and smashed 10 dishes to pieces. Another when he jumped straight into a bonfire. Another when he apparently killed a cat, slowly and painfully. Don Jr. sought out the health services at his university, but was not given an official diagnosis. The family's only girls, Margaret and Lindsay Galvin, were prey to the brutish roughhousing of their schizophrenic brothers. Mary would come home from school, for example, to find Donald Jr. transplanting every last piece of furniture out of the house and into the backyard, or pouring salt into the aquarium and poisoning all the fish. Lindsay said though her parents tried to explain that her brother was sick, she was 5 and too young to understand and just wanted him to go away. Typically, with the father, Donald, usually away on business, and Mimi physically unable to pull her muscular and athletic sons apart, the youngest. Littlest kids knew the drill when trouble broke out. Cower in the master bedroom, door locked, pray their brothers wouldn't break through, and wait for the police to arrive.
That's crazy.
Don Jr. would not be given a definitive diagnosis until he tried to murder his wife. He was eventually sent to what was formerly the State Mental Hospital in Pueblo, where his behavior was finally given an explanation: schizophrenia. Between the late 60s and early 80s, 6 of the Galvin brothers were diagnosed with schizophrenia. Donald Jr., James, Brian, Joseph, Matthew, and Peter. Brother number 2, James, who also married very young, began hearing voices and attacking his wife. After he had seemingly recovered, the youngest children were often sent to stay with him when Don Jr. made their lives too chaotic or frightening. At first, when Don Jr. was beginning to decline, James seemed to have his life together. He married a girl named Kathy and had a son named Jimmy. But at home, Jim was starting to hear voices of people spying on him, following him, and people conspiring against him. He turned to alcohol and became violent to Kathy. Throughout this time, James sexually abused his sisters, who, as they later revealed, had been somewhat deadened to abuse because brother number 4, Brian, had already molested them. While living in California, Brian dated a bright and cheerful girl called Noni for a while, but they broke up after several months. A month after their breakup, Noni was declared missing. The police found Noni and Brian's body on the floor next to a .22 rifle. Brian had shot Noni and then killed himself. While no records have been found of Brian's official schizophrenia diagnosis, the Galvin family learned that Brian had been prescribed Trvn, one of the many antipsychotic drugs that treat schizophrenia. The family tried to cover up the whole incident as an accident. In 1975, 15-year-old Peter had a psychotic break shortly after watching his father have a stroke before his eyes.
That nigga sitting there. They look like player family. They look like they got good, nice women. They was cool people and everything. He's sitting there with that shit on like, yeah, I just put the cows up. Think I'm about going to feed my pigs. I got a couple chickens ready to go sell some eggs. Make me a little bit of money. And I'm back here. What you got going today? Like, he look cool in the motherfucker. That dude crazy as hell.
Peter then began wetting himself when he was 14 years old because he thought the devil was under the house. Peter was known as an excellent math student and talented ice hockey player before becoming ill. Peter was prescribed so many...
Look, that's all of them. That's all of them. That mean the mom had to go through 3 times. And then whenever he started pissing in the bed at 14, mom was like, why are you doing this? You don't do this. The devil's under the house. She probably was like, oh, fuck. Not again? I would have immediately rushed him to the hospital. We ain't already seen what the first 3 did. We ain't even, you 14, we gonna try to get this fixed now. You going straight to the hospital.
Many antipsychotic drugs, up to 8, but nothing worked. In the end, the doctors acquired the court order for ECT, electric shock treatment. ECT is the use of electricity to induce a seizure and calm the brain. In mass media and popular culture, ECT is portrayed as medical torture and thought oppression. But interestingly, a lot of notable and accomplished figures have received the ECT treatment and have advocated for its efficacy. In 1976, it was the turn of Matthew 17, brother number 9. Matthew experienced a traumatic incident at a relatively young age when he was severely beaten by his brother Joseph, resulting in the need for brain surgery. Damn. Following this ordeal, Matthew spent time in different medical facilities and eventually found a home in a Section 8 apartment where he lived independently. Matthew, a promising and talented potter, paid a visit one day to a family friend to show them a vase he had made. While waiting in the living room, suddenly he ripped his clothes off and smashed the vase he had worked so hard on. Matthew also had the delusion that he was Paul McCartney of the Beatles. Each of the brothers' conditions displayed themselves in different ways.
Damn,
where Don's psychoses were hallucinatory and delusional, Jim would self-harm because he was paranoid and depressed. There was the Thanksgiving where the perfectly set table, Mimi's last grip on normalcy, was completely toppled over in one of the brothers' outbursts. Don Jr. picked up the dining room table and threw it at his brother James, sending the pressed linen plates and silver everywhere. The parents, ashamed and overwhelmed, tried to cope. As the years passed, Mimi became less successful in explaining away the growing chaos in her home.
I wonder what was wrong with the parents. Because if all your kids got it, one of y'all got that shit too. I don't know who it came from, but somebody got it, and I think it's him. He looked like he got it because the mom just been going through the worst shit ever, and then out of nowhere, he come back from the army, and this nigga crazy as shit. I mean, the army can fuck you up, but I don't know, man. It could be her. Yeah, she the crazy one. Because if you can stay with somebody that get fucked up from the army, and he crazy and you stay with him, you still up smiling, and you got a house full of schizophrenics, and you still going. Yeah, she the crazy one. Yeah, whoever. If these the parents, it's the mama.
Invariably spilled into the streets of her neighborhood. Meanwhile, her husband grew more emotionally and physically remote with each child they had together. By late 1978, there were 3 Galvin boys in different wards of the same state mental hospital.
Damn.
4 of the 10 brothers did not have schizophrenia: Richard, Mark, Michael, and John. The last son to be diagnosed, Joseph, had troubled Peter's doctors years before while visiting his hospitalized siblings, but he seemed, if only relatively, fine to his family. But after a series of personal losses, he too began being overwhelmed by hallucinations in 1982 at age 25. Joseph, a once promising hockey player with a stable job in Chicago, experienced a sudden and devastating decline due to schizophrenia. Voices in his head led him to send a threatening email to his boss, resulting in his job loss. Joseph believed that he had lived in China in his past life and communicated to a Chinese emperor in the clouds. But out of all the Galvin boys who were diagnosed with schizophrenia, everyone agreed that Joseph was the most poignant in his suffering. He was the only one who could differentiate hallucinations and reality, and was conscious enough to want things to stop. He also tried his best in keeping in touch with the family by sending birthday cards and presents. Joseph later told his mother that a family friend, a Catholic priest, to whom Don Sr. and Mimi had often entrusted their boys, had molested them, while Mimi revealed to her adult daughters, after they had confronted her about sending them to James, that she too had been sexually abused as a child by her stepfather. Lindsay eventually escaped the house and left home when she entered the 9th grade after she earned a scholarship to a boarding school. Mimi said that both she and her husband were deeply ashamed and felt they couldn't open up about what was going on to anyone, not the people who lived next door, not even their closest friends. She didn't use terms like schizophrenic mother, but she did say that they were made to feel that they were at fault. To her, that may have been the primary thing. But a deeper factor was that their life felt like a house of cards. If her husband's prestigious job was in jeopardy, because he was talking about having a volatile, mentally ill son at home, that would mean no income to support the other children, and there were a lot of children. While tending to all of her ill children and doing what she thought was best to keep them out of institutions, Mimi simultaneously avoids even acknowledging their erratic behavior. From her daughter Lindsay's perspective, to do anything else would be the same as admitting that she lacks any real control over the situation. Mimi loved her children, but was also unyielding in their pursuit of excellence. She was deemed something of a drill sergeant by many of the siblings. On March 2nd, 2001, James was found dead, with the coroner ruling his death as a heart attack caused by his medications. Out of the 10 boys, only 4 boys evaded psychosis: John, Michael, Richard, and Mark. After seeing his older brothers having their psychotic breaks one by one, John became fearful that he was going to be next. So he and his wife decided to move away from Denver. Today, he is a music teacher in Idaho.
That's what I'm saying. It probably was something in that house. Because it's getting each one down the line. Bang, 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 bang. Once you get out the house and you move away and you schizophrenic off, moved on, bink the next one. Bink the next one. Then that one, he already moved on, but he didn't even realize he had it because he'd been taking them drugs. So he didn't realize he was schizophrenic. Then he stopped taking them. Then now he like, damn, I'm hearing shit. Bink, got him. So the one that moved away, hopefully he don't get it, because this is crazy.
Early managed to get away. During his teenage years, Michael had been prescribed stelazine, an antipsychotic drug, and was 2 times admitted to hospital psychiatric wards for observation. Michael believed he wasn't crazy. His tipping point was when he learned to practice meditation and mindfulness. Richard became a mining investor in Denver. Mark was the only one of the Galvin's superb hockey team who was spared from schizophrenia. This revelation hit him the hardest. Margaret and Lindsay were the last girls of the Galvin family. Lindsay was sent away to live with Nancy Gary, a family friend, while Dawn and Mimi were struggling with her brother's schizophrenia psychosis breaks. In the end, her approach to dealing with the trauma was to have as little contact as possible. Lindsay, the youngest of the Galvin family, at first felt envious of Margaret. Unlike her, Margaret had a chance to get away from it all, and Lindsay was left alone to live with her older schizophrenic brothers.
Why didn't they just
she
take
felt
both
she
of them?
lost an ally. Lindsay also initially partly blamed her mother for all the trauma she went through during childhood.
Yeah, mama Lindsay crazy as hell. Mama crazy than the motherfucker. They definitely got it from her. This nigga be getting beat up and all types of shit. So you're gonna leave me and the kids? Oh, you're not gonna take us? Turn around real quick. No, can you pick that up for me? And cut your shit up. Nigga, all in the back of your neck and back. Shit look like tiger mark. Nigga, a tiger came in here and just scratched you and ran out the back door or something. Yeah, I want you to try it. Yeah, cops are already called.
Managed to get proper help by consulting a therapist called Trvn. How did this family land here? And why, despite medications, hospitalizations, and therapy regimens, did all its members, those diagnosed with the disease and those free of it, remain trapped in the suffering? The World Health Organization estimates that about 1 in 100 people deal with symptoms of psychosis or schizophrenia, including hearing voices, delusional ideas, and constant feelings of being watched.
Man, people got
some experts champion shock therapy. Others called for institutionalization. Some psychotherapists saw madness as a metaphor, and some doctors prescribed catatonia by tranquilizers. Perhaps most troubling of all, a generation of psychotherapists blamed the mother for causing the disease by either overparenting or underparenting. While an exact cause for the condition is not known, research suggests it involves abnormalities in brain chemistry and structure, and can be caused by genetically inherited problems or issues that occur during a person's development. In short, the Galvin household offered a horrifically rich mine of potential evidence for any theory of schizophrenia's causes. And it did so at a time when psychiatry's nature versus nurture battle raged on, with many experts still holding to the schizophrenogenic mother explanation. That thesis, articulated by the influential German-American psychiatrist Trvn.Gaming, tormented mid-century parents by blaming the disease on severe warp and rejection in infancy and childhood, as a rule, mainly from a schizophrenogenic mother. It didn't help that Mimi, a perfectionist averse to praising her children and secretly troubled by her own trauma, fit the false mother as bogeyman profile to a T. But if Mimi herself and the vast set of triggers that might have influenced her son's individual psychoses interested some psychiatrists, the basic Galvin arithmetic, 6 boys and 1 family, captured the attention of researchers seeking a physical cause. By the mid-1980s, researchers had collected blood samples from the Galvins, which soon, unbeknownst to the family, became part of numerous studies. It was 2016 before the right test offered a breakthrough. Researchers worked with the DNA of only 9 families, all of which had to have at least 3 individuals with schizophrenia and 3 without. The goal was to find a common genetic mutation, even if it was common only to a particular family, because that abnormality could indicate an overall biochemical pathway to schizophrenia. The study found it in all 7 Galvin brothers who had provided blood in the SHANK2 gene, which encodes the proteins that help brain synapses transmit signals. It's not a smoking gun cause of schizophrenia gene, but it does offer the potential pathway the researchers sought, even as it raises this question. Why, when it's likely all the siblings have that mutation, did some develop serious mental illness and others did not? As the brothers pinged between the state mental hospital and the family home, where their mother devoted herself to caring for them, the two...
That's them, they grew up. Crazy than a motherfucker. This nigga definitely digging your booty. Like, fuck, this nigga look like Trevor. God damn. Yeah, they got schizophrenia nastiness going on. You can just look at him and just tell. He look like he owns like a big dealership or something, but he low-key like kids. Like, damn. Like, they look like he like an artist or something. They like the biggest people in the world. Like, they all own some crazy shit. He own like a rock star record label. Like, they all own some big crazy shit, but they like pedophiles and shit. They like, you know, some crazy shit. Damn. That's crazy. The people that be owning these like record labels and these big people out here, they be born just like this, because this is what they be looking like. They be schizophrenically, pedophilically, traumatizically, monetizically.
Hospital and the family home, where their mother devoted herself to caring for them. The 2 girls of the family felt neglected and endangered. Yet as adults, the 2 women maintained their connections to their troubled clan, with Lindsay returning to nurse their ailing mother and helping her brothers negotiate the institutional bureaucracies that presided over their lives. Don Jr. and Matthew Galvin still live in Colorado Springs. Their father, Donald Sr., passed away in 2003. Mimi passed away in 2017. Peter died in his sleep in 2023.
Damn.
A book called Hidden Valley Road, Inside the Mind of an American Family, and a Max documentary called 6 Schizophrenic Brothers about the Galvin family are available to learn more about this story. This concludes today's story. As always, don't forget to subscribe to get more content. Until next time.
Yeah, they was fucked up in the head. All 17 of them. God damn, that shit wild. Like, it's already crazy to have a couple, like 2, 3 of them in your family. And I got like 12 in my family. Not my in-house family, just like my family in general. There's a lot of people in my family with schizophrenia. Them niggas fucked up. But just like my brothers, sisters, mom, dad, and stuff. They ain't like that, boy. God damn. And they is not doing the shit that they doing. Whew. That. Yeah, man. It's gonna be the end of this video, man. I need y'all to like, comment, subscribe. Turn your post notifications on if you already got them on. Keep them on. If you don't, turn them on again. For real. I'm out this thing. Peace.